What's up, y'all? It's your boy eBay Fight Predictions in the building. I'll be breaking down the best title fight, in my humble opinion, of the year: Charles Oliveira versus Dustin fucking Poirier. This is a great fucking fight. We are very lucky to get this fight. I mean, there's a good chance we could have probably got it, next year, maybe January. But luckily, we get to cap it off and end the year with a bang. I mean, this is a phenomenal fight. In my humble opinion, when I really think about all the fights that happened this year, I mean, this is, in my humble opinion, the most technical and skilled fight. I mean, obviously you got Jan versus Corey Sandhagen. People are saying that was the most technical fight they saw, but I really truly believe on paper, and you look at these guys' resumes, I mean, this is the best fight, and how these guys match up, it's gonna be fucking fireworks. And I think no matter what, we're gonna get a finish, and I think this is gonna be an awesome fight. I mean, really, there's not much beef going into this fight. It's just so good on paper. You don't really need a storyline. You don't need some trash talk. There really isn't no trash talk, besides, I guess, some fans, Dustin Poirier fans, calling Charles Oliveira a quitter. That's about it. And maybe some of the trash talk from the Conor fight, right, are kind of seeping in. Like, how Conor fans are kind of backing Charles Oliveira. That's a claim that Dustin Poirier fans have made. But besides that, that's very minuscule and nothing. There's no beef between Charles and Dustin. This is really a number one contender versus champion fight. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Charles is the champion, trying to prove that I am a legit champion, and Dustin Poirier is trying to achieve something he's never achieved in his career. Yes, he has won gold, the interim title, but I think he really wants to be known as a world champion and hold gold for the first time in his career. So that's what makes this fight really cool. I think both guys have a lot to prove, and they're gonna prove it. Somebody's gonna prove it on Saturday. We've got 11 days to figure it out who does it, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I cannot wait for this fight. I think it's gonna be phenomenal, man. I really do, and yeah, man. Let's get to the fucking stats, man. Charles Oliveira. I mean, let's look at the rankings actually, and let's see where these guys are ranked in the pound for pound. I mean, both guys in the pound for pound rankings. You usually don't see this, right, when it's champion versus contender. Most of the time, the contender really isn't in the pound for pound rankings yet. But yeah, I mean, Charles Oliveira. Okay, yeah, Dustin Poirier, number 5 in the pound for pound rankings. He's higher than Charles in the pound for pound rankings, and Charles is a champion. Charles is number 8 in the pound for pound, so 8 versus 5 in the pound for pound rankings. Obviously, Charles is the champion of the lightweight division, and Dustin Poirier is the number 1 lightweight in the world. So this is a great fight. But in terms of records, Charles comes on a record 31-8. Is fighting. They say he's fighting out of Texas. I think he's fighting out of Brazil. I'm not sure. I'm not positive, but I think age 32, a height of 5'10", and a reach of 74. 0. Dustin Poirier comes in a record of 28-6. Man, look at these records, man. 31-8 and 28-6, bro. These guys, I mean, another, I guess, a storyline that I forgot to mention: how experienced these guys in the UFC, guys that never gave up on themselves, right? The guys that have been through the thick and thin, stayed on the long road, were there till the end, and now are fighting for gold, man. It's just insane. It's insane. These guys have been through hell and back, man. Like, I mean, there's moments in both of these guys' careers, I'll talk more about it, where, people were counting them out, and now look at where they're at. It's fucking crazy. Dustin Poirier fights out of Coconut Creek, Florida, age 32, a height of 5'9", and reach 73. So Charles does have a reach advantage, and he has a bit more fights than Dustin. So that's something to look at. But Dustin says he has a lot of fights that never went on his record or something like that. I don't know. I remember I was listening when he was talking to Theo Vaughn. He said that. But this, back to what I was saying. I mean, a very key part about this story, about this fight, that I even missed and I didn't really get a chance to talk about, is the experience, man. These guys have been through it, and they're legit vets. You really can call them vets, and they're so young. Like, both guys got in the game so young, and they're doing their thing. They're doing their fucking thing. And for the film study that I did for this, I kind of looked at, I kind of did like how I did Glover and Yan. But you know what's funny? This one went really quick, really quick. I don't know if because Oliveira's fights go really fast. That's something I noticed. You know, his fights go super fast, or the fact that I saw them a lot. I don't know, but yeah, there were two fights I really picked. You know, in terms of losses, I picked one loss that really represents the other counterpart and how they dealt with it, and how where they felt, and there another loss that kind of changed their career, and really was a big pivotal moment in their in their life where they were like, you know what, I'm done with the bullshit. I'm here to fucking win, right? So that's how I kind of did it. But let's start off with Dustin Poirier, man. This guy. I mean, you got to really look at that Korean Zombie fight, man. That's a lot of people don't talk about that. It's a great fight. I mean, phenomenal fight. But I mean, stylistically, it's very similar to Charles Oliveira. I mean, when I look at the matchup, besides I guess the reach, this is a hard-hitting, great grappler that Dustin fought, and he failed. Now, he had a lot of moments in this fight, don't get it twisted, but I mean, Zombie he was able to use his, physical just power in the striking and in the grappling. I mean, he was able to get a lot of takedowns. He was just, trips, outside singles, inside trips, just a lot of good stuff. And, as a grappler, I got reminded a long time ago when he fought Dan Ige, actually, how good of a grappler he was. And then I got reminded again watching this fight, man. This man, pound for pound, one of the best. I mean, people don't talk about it. When I watch his grappling, he's really underrated. He might be one of the best grapplers at 145. I know Brian Ortega's there, TRT Ortega, so it doesn't really count, right? You know what I'm saying? Volk said it best, man. You take drugs, you get no respect. But, but yeah, I really do think this guy is probably one of the better grapplers in the UFC. And the way he was able to stuff Dustin Poirier's takedowns and then roll him into mount, like, it was insane. Like, I'm going to show you guys the clip, but it was insane. It was insane. I was like, yo, he's insane. Now, obviously, Dustin had his moments. It was a fun fight. It was a fun fight. Dustin was landing shots in the clinch, landing shots with a straight right, but he was very, like, one-dimensional with it. He wasn't king in combinations. And Zombie was, at least it wasn't necessarily fluid boxing combinations. It was more like kickboxing combinations. You throw the 1-2, then throw the body kick, and throw the uppercut. But I mean, he was landing shots, and you could tell that Dustin was getting affected more by it. And something that I think Oliveira has to look at, and I think how this fight might finish, is the shovel uppercut Zombie landed, and then Dustin shot for a dumb takedown because he was hurt. You look at Oliveira's career. I mean, the Kevin Lee fight, especially the Kevin Lee fight, he has a great shovel uppercut. I mean, he is a phenomenal, not even a shovel uppercut. He has a really good uppercut to lead hook combo that he likes to throw a lot. Zombie was able to capitalize on that, hurt him, and then got the anaconda choke and got him out of there. Very, very impressive work by Zombie. I mean, he looked sensational. It's probably one of his best wins ever. It's very hard to argue with that. I mean, when you talk about Zombie, that's his notable win right there. You got to bring it up. But I mean, it was a fun fight. I enjoyed it. I think it was Dustin Poirier's first ever UFC main event, and this was when was this? Did they say what the date was? Yeah, 2012. That is great. May 15, 2000. On a Tuesday. I haven't seen that. That's crazy. That's funny. Have I ever seen a UFC on a Tuesday? I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think I've seen one. I feel like we've got Wednesdays, but never Tuesdays. Never. I like for them to bring that back. But this wasn't pivotal though. This loss to Korean Zombie, I think it was because it was in a main event. It was one of his, I think, it's his first UFC main event, but how many fights did he have before he made it to the UFC? Yeah, this was 1, 2, 3, So he had 4 fights in the UFC. This was his 5th fight ever in the UFC. He loses, right? It's not a big deal, right? Now, obviously, he has a whole bunch of losses. Well, not a whole bunch of losses, but a whole bunch of losses that, you could say were pivotal, like the Cub Swanson loss, right? You could say that one was. The Conor McGregor loss was a very pivotal fight for him. But I didn't add that, and I thought about it, but I feel like it didn't really change him, He lost to Conor, he went up in weight, and he kept winning. He kept winning. He beat Diego Ferreira, beat Yancy Medeiros, beat Joe Duffy, beat Bobby Green. But then this loss, this one singular loss to a person that a lot of people to this day would say that he is, not even levels above wouldn't even be the word. It would be like ultra levels above. It's his fight with Michael Johnson. There was a lot of bad blood, in this fight. People don't talk about it. This was, in my humble opinion, a piece of karma that Michael gave to Dustin. If you go watch the weigh-ins, I might put it on the thing. He was talking shit to Michael Johnson, and I think before media days, I think he was talking shit. I remember watching this, but I remember in my head, yeah, he was talking shit, a lot of shit. And when I was watching UFC at the time, Dustin Poirier was like. He was like I wouldn't call him a nobody, but he wasn't anything special. You know what I'm saying? When he went through his run, that's when he became special. But in this Michael Johnson, I remember it was like in Carolina, I think. Derek Brunson versus Uriah Hall was my main event that day. That was my main event. I don't know why they had him in the main event. And Michael Johnson, in my humble opinion, was more of the, obviously. Dustin Poirier was the favorite, but to me, I was more interested in Michael, and I was actually a fan of Michael. Still am, don't get it twisted. Yeah, it was probably one of the funniest days of my life. I got it right. I picked Michael Johnson to beat him, but when he knocked him out, it was crazy. It was nuts. He fucking it was like a GTA ragdoll, bro. Like he fucking flew, It was insane. It was a beautiful punch. He caught him. Michael, he's really, really good bouncy movement. And he just lunges into those shots that he sees. Like he puts stuff that fit, like when he throws his shots, they're just meant to fit in his, he's still in his prime in terms of age, but in terms of his successful prime, what I'm saying, where he was kind of winning and he was still a contender and he was still in the top 10. He was just knocking motherfuckers out, man. He would catch dudes, and he was just, like I said, he put the shots that fit in perfectly, and he just landed that 2-3, and it was perfect. It was fast, and it just hit him good, and it just it shut his lights off. Obviously, this was before the Salon Dion hair, but yeah, this was a very pivotal fight. He didn't lose a fight until obviously he fought for. The title against Khabib Nurmagomedov. So he was in about 6 fights. Obviously, got the no contest to Eddie, but you got to count that one in. 6 fights. He did not lose after that, and it really, really changed him. I think changed a lot of his game. He implemented more defense. He implemented some weird, almost like Philly shell. Modified MMA Philly shell defense. If you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. But it changed him. It completely changed him. Obviously, he grew out the hair because of the fight. But yeah, obviously, we can talk about the Jim Miller fight. We can talk about the Eddie Alvarez fight. We can talk about the Pettis fight, the Gaethje fight, right? The Eddie fight, right? The second one. But obviously, I didn't really want to add that in my film stud. I feel like I could have added it, but I really wanted to talk about the last 5. If you want me to talk about that, you can go check out my Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier breakdown 2, the rematch. Go check that out. But yeah, that's we're not here to talk. We're here to talk about his last 5, and we got to talk about that Max Holloway fight. He looked amazing against Max. He hurt. I'll keep it simple. He hurt Max in the first 2 rounds, wobbled him bad. He used a very, very good game plan of throwing a lot of good shots, right? Mixing in a lot of soft shots with heavy shots, right? I could see it. He wasn't hurting him all the time, but it was shot selection, right? He'd find those perfect moments to throw a really, really good shot. and catch him. And he caught him with some beautiful overhands, and wobbled him. He had him on Queer Street. He had him hurt, and I picked him. I picked Dustin to win this one. This is when I used to believe in my rematch rule before 2000. I think was it? Yeah, 2021 completely destroyed my rematch rule, where I used to go with the guy that won the first one to win the second one. Now I didn't destroy my trilogy rule. I don't know if I'm going to completely stick by that. We're going to see if I pick Brandon Moreno or Figueiredo, if I really stick with my trilogy rule that the second person that wins the trilogy will win. And then the rematch will win the trilogy. If you win the rematch, you win the trilogy. That's what I mean. Or we'll see if I go with that. But yeah, so I picked Dustin in this one, and I was proven right. I mean, Max had a good third round. He landed a lot of good shots, man, in that third round, and kind of was, coming back. And I thought he kind of hurt Dustin to the body. But Dustin kind of saved himself with the takedowns. He got like 2 takedowns, I think. But there was a moment where Dustin failed for a takedown, right? And then Max, lynched up that Darce choke, lynched up that Darce in there. I was just like, oh snap, that was pretty tight. And he got it in there. You never know. Charles might be looking at them like, I can do that too. So that was something really, really interesting that I saw. But, obviously what really, really won him, because even that fourth round was super competitive. But what won him that fourth round, is that knee that he landed on Max's head, and he had him gushing blood after that. It was nuts. So, obviously that's what got it done for him. But, it is what it is. At the end of the day, he won. He did his thing. He got the interim title, and then he fights Khabib Nurmagomedov. And I wasn't too surprised. Obviously, I respected Dustin. I was actually more scared of Dustin than I was of what's his face. What's that dude's name? Homer, Justin Gaethje. I don't know. I forgot his name. But yeah, a lot of people were worried about Justin for some odd reason more than Dustin. So it is what it is. Obviously, the wrestling aspect came in there, but I was actually more worried about Dustin because of the resume, because of his heart, and because of how much he wants it. But I still picked Khabib in this one. I was impressed with what Dustin could do in there a little bit, but in retrospect. But what I saw was actually kind of like, wow, Dustin kind of got handled. Khabib just drowned him. He took him down in the first round. We saw what happened there. Now, Dustin obviously had his moment in the second round, right? Where he landed that, shot and had that flurry. And then Dustin obviously had that guillotine, right? Everyone likes to talk about. And, it was a really, really good guillotine. This was in Abu Dhabi. I remember people talked about how hot it was. Y'all remember that? How hot it was. So, I know... Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how that fight would have went now if it wasn't in there. But obviously that's like, you don't want to say that kind of stuff. But it does put it into perspective, because they talk about the air conditioning now in Fight Island. It's completely different. It wasn't so hot. Like, I think Glover Teixeira did an interview saying like it was good. The arena wasn't so hot, right? That hot. And Paul Felder, when he fought Edson Barboza, said it was like he was like sweating right before he got in the octagon. So I wonder if that played a factor. But yeah, he quit. I'm sorry. I don't want to be too mean in saying the word quit and call him a quitter, because he's not a quitter, right? He's still fighting. I feel like quitting is like if you really like stop fighting after you lose, right? That's kind of, you could call it quitting. But there's nothing like, here's the thing. Quitting is kind of normal in fighting. It's like you see it all the time. A lot of our maybe they don't do it in their prime, but everyone kind of eventually does it, right? Or you could say, I love Robbie Lawler, right? Robbie Lawler is one of my favorite, fighters. One of my favorite welterweights all time, right? But you could say he quit. You could say he quit in certain fights, A lot of people say felt like he quit in the Colby Covington fight. People felt like I don't think he quit in the Magny fight. He really tried in that third round. But I'm trying to think of fights that or in the Rafael Dos Anjos fight. Some people could say it. I wouldn't say it, but it's a natural thing to do. And, Dustin quit. I personally feel like he was tired. He didn't want to be in there no more. because the way Khabib took his back, man, no hooks, just grabbed him, and the choke wasn't even in, y'all. Like, I mean, people give Darren Till shit, and I don't care. Darren Till shit for tapping quick, Jan Blachowicz shit for tapping quick, but nobody talks about this dude tapped like a chicken. Like when he fucking beat him. I ain't ever seen that, you know. So I was a little shocked by that, but hey, it is what it is. That's on Khabib, so that's the GOAT. So you can't be the GOAT of lightweight division, in my humble opinion. But can't be too mad at it. It is what it is. Then he fought Dan Hooker. Man, this fight was nuts. This fight was crazy. I love watching this fight back. I was just shocked by how they killed each other and how good Dan looked in here. And you could say Dan won the first 3 rounds. I'm just saying. I did pick Dan in this one, and Dan kind of failed me here. He did lose, but I mean, he made me 100% proud. I mean, dude, the damage both these guys took. Obviously, I felt like this hurt Dustin more than Dan, but obviously it seems like it's hurting Dan in terms of career perspective. But it was a phenomenal fight. First round I gave it to Dan. I mean, I thought he was landing the better shots, hurting Dustin. He's just more active. And then I mean, he turned it up at the end of that second round, almost finished him, right? Almost killed him. And then I don't know. It's really interesting in that third round. I kind of felt like Dan did his thing, He got takedowns. He's able to take him down a lot. I mean, I was surprised by how many times Dan was able to take him down in that fight. I know some people say, "Oh, it was the guillotine," but he did take him down a few times. And that's something that Charles might be able to use in their fight. But obviously he got him tired, and he was able to kind of outwill him basically. And Dan showed it. I mean, especially in that 5th round, he was super, super gassed, and I mean, Dustin looked amazing, and he finished it strong on top, and he did his thing. But I thought Dan did a lot better than people give him credit for. People just talk about the first 2 rounds. I thought that you can make a real debate that Dan won that 3rd round, and then you're basically saying 3-2 Dan Hooker. I'm just saying, but I mean, Dustin looked good. He did look good. I mean, he did land better like striking shots in that 3rd round. So it depends, damage or control. So, but yeah, I thought Dan did a lot, really good, when I watched it. But I mean, Dustin just outwilled him. He just outwilled him, wanted it more than him, and Dan just got tired. And sometimes it's how you finish instead of how you started in a fight. So, you can't be too mad. And then he fights Conor McGregor in the rematch, right? These were really, really quick to watch. I mean, both of these fights were super, super quick. I mean, he looked good. He looked good in the second Conor fight. I mean, he got lit up. But he took him down immediately. He did take him down immediately. But after that, I mean, Conor started landing beautiful shots. I mean, the jab was money. The 1-2-1. He would land the jab, the cross, and then the 1. He would land beautiful shots. He was just lighting Dustin up, man. He was lighting him up in that first round. He just obviously is a superior, boxer in there. But Dustin obviously used them calf kicks. He was landing them calf kicks a lot. And he landed a pretty good, what's it called? A counter hook in that fight. I forgot about that. He landed a pretty good counter hook. And, he looked really, really good in there. But, yeah, after that, I mean, the leg kind of broke down on Conor. Conor's calf was feeling it throughout the whole entire fight. And, Dustin was able to finish him, and he broke Conor. I mean, that's just what happened. I picked Conor in that one. I really, really thought Conor was just going to pick him apart. Was going to be too good for him. I thought Dustin was going to fight a dumb fight. I thought he was either going to wrestle or box. And I did not think he was going to bring that calf. I knew, if it was Cowboy, if it was anybody that was predominantly a kicker, I would assume they would attack the calf. Don't get it twisted. I knew about Conor's weakness to those calf kicks, right? But I didn't know Dustin was going to do that because we've only seen Dustin really box and wrestle, like in terms of his skill set. So he showed something different. You know, it's not an eBay fight prediction video without a MacBook interruption. It kind of froze on me for a second. But like I was saying, Dustin Poirier showed something really, really different. That, hey, he's willing to use different tactics to really win the fight and fulfill certain strategies that might not be his skill set, but he's going to have to do to win the fight. So he showed us that. And then in the, in his last fight, his most recent fight, the trilogy, it wasn't that much of a fight. It was a doctor stoppage. Doctor stoppage. Mixed stretcher. He went out sad in this one. I look at it as a real loss. I don't really care. I mean, Conor, I know Conor did some cool stuff in the beginning, the spinning heel kick to the body, add a lot of calf kicks, or not even real, just honestly just regular leg kicks. He added that. But honestly, when Dustin landed that, counter right where he dipped his head at the center line, then threw the punch, right? I thought he hurt Conor. He landed a good uppercut, and Conor was the one that shot for the takedown. That's just the honest truth. What did he say? The first one to shoot for the legs is a bitch, right? I think that's what he said. Conor went out like a bitch, and no disrespect. That is pretty disrespectful. But I know there's a lot of McNugget fans out there, and hey, your boy lost. Just calm down. It happens to everybody. But don't get too mad at me. But yeah, Dustin, he won the fight. He got on top of him, right? Let me not forget about the got on top. Conor pulled for a guillotine, right? Got on top, landed really, really good ground and pound, and then ended it off. I thought at first Dustin dropped him. That's what I thought, right? But then I guess his leg snapped. So, and that's how the fight ended, and Dustin bested him, and that's how we got here. Obviously Dustin, he didn't take a fourth fucking fight with the dude. Thank God. Instead, he took the title fight. He wanted to fight Charles Oliveira. Now, obviously, there were talks about him fighting Nate Diaz. Thank the Lord Jesus Christ, that did not happen. I did not need to see that. But he ended up fighting Charles, and now we're here. He fought all those fights, and now he's fighting for the #1 title in the world, the lightweight championship of the world, against the champion Du Bronx, Charles Oliveira. And we got to look at how Charles got here, right? What Charles, what steps he took. Right now, obviously, I wanted to talk about, we got to talk about those 2 losses, right? One loss that I felt like he fought a very, very similar stylistic opponent in Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson, this is a fight that everyone brings up. Now, obviously, when he fought Michael Chandler, I brought up the Frankie Edgar fight, right? Because he fought a wrestler. Now, this one, Cub is kind of, he's like a boxer, boxer striker, a lot different from Dustin, but very similar, right? Attacks the body, right? Like Dustin, very, very decent movement, decent footwork, very, very high output fighter, right? You could debate Cub has more pop in his punches, but it is what it is. Cub was kind of able, to kind of expose him for being a somewhat of a quitter, right? And you can say that, and that's okay, right? That's okay. It's just a fact. This fight's very, very debatable if he quit or not. I feel like you can make that debate, but it's very suspect. It was a good fight. Cub was landing that rear hook. That counter rear hook with a lot of accuracy. And that's something that Dustin can probably look at and take advantage of, right? He was able to attack the body really good, I thought. And one thing that Charles did in that fight, he took him down. He did take him down, but Cub was able to get right back up, and then he attacked that body one more time, and then threw the overhand, and he fell for some odd reason. I don't know if he was really hurt. I think maybe the body shot hurt him more than the actual punch to the head, but he assumed that the headshot is what got him out of there. And there's a lot of moments in his career, right, where he lost to Max Holloway, right, and his shoulder popped out, right, but we never got a medical, examination and no proof that anything happened to his shoulder, right? almost like he didn't want to be in there. And this is something a lot of people talk about. Something even I brought up. One of the biggest reasons I faded him when he fought Kevin Lee, and sadly when he fought Tony, probably the dumbest thing I ever did was pick Tony Ferguson that day. I don't even like talking about it, but it's something I gotta live with. But yeah, it was just something that happened, and I mean, Cub. I feel like Cub kind of exposed it the worst because the way he fell. I mean, obviously people talk about the Max Holloway fight, talk about the Lamas, the Pettis fight, all those fights, but I feel like this one's the worst one because he kind of fell so awkwardly. But really, we got to talk about the fight that really changed him, and that was the Paul Felder fight. After this fight, the man went on an ungodly win streak. But this Paul Felder fight was crazy. I mean, he went for every goddamn submission in the book. Got so many takedowns. I remember he took his back, right? He had him, slammed him, and then took his back. I mean, he went for so many takedowns. I mean, he would get a Darce choke, right? Felder would get right back up, then get his back again. I mean, it was nuts what he was doing in there. It was crazy. The grappling transitions, everything he was doing. But Paul Felder, I mean, he was just so tough in there. It would not give in. He was like, I'm not giving in. And he just basically put that pressure, and it's something that Dustin Poirier can really do in this fight, because Dustin has really good ground. He showed it in the Conor McGregor fight. He showed it especially in his Anthony Pettis fight. You go watch his Anthony Pettis fight. Go look at the grappling transitions. Anthony Pettis, a guy that beat Charles. It's just a fact. But against Felder, I mean, Felder just stayed super tough, and he landed these vicious elbows, connected so well in that dude's face, and he was just breaking him, just on him, man, on him, bro. Like, I mean, it was crazy. And he tapped out the strikes. It is what it is. George St. Pierre did it. It's one of the greatest of all time. Sometimes you gotta live to fight another day. That's the thing. I want to kind of establish the fact that you're not a lesser of a man if you quit. I really don't believe that. Sometimes you just got to make the right decision, and I mean, I feel like people that don't quit should also get applauded, but I don't think people that do quit are necessarily like weak, and I feel like Charles and George St. Pierre are living examples of that, so, and I did judge him, don't get it twisted, I did judge him, but after the Tony fight, I saw something different. People can change, and I think he said it in the press conference against Chandler. People can change, and obviously this fight changed him. I think he looked himself in the mirror after this fight and be like, I have to want it more than I want to breathe. I have to want that UFC gold more than I want to breathe. And he started fighting like that. And after that, he went on an ungodly streak. Beating Clay Guida, beating Cristo Galgos, Jim Miller, David Tamor, right? Beating those guys. And then when I started my film study, obviously I started with the Nick Lentz fight. I think this was the trilogy. This was the trilogy between him and Nick Lentz. And he took care of Nick Lentz like he was a complete nobody. And you look, Nick Lentz went tooth and nail with Arnold Allen and Mozart Evloev. Now, obviously those guys are featherweights, but Charles is a former featherweight. Mozart Evloev and Arnold Allen are guys I put in very, very high regard in terms of the future of the featherweight division. And Nick Lentz went tooth and nail. Charles Oliveira dispatched Nick Lentz like he was a piece of trash. You know what I'm saying? He took him out like it was like, oh, I got to throw out the trash. Got to throw out some Nick Lentz. You know what I'm saying? That's how he took care of Nick Lentz. And he caught the body kick, hit him with the right cross, and the ground and pound was fucking vicious. It was vicious and got him out of there. And it was a great, phenomenal performance. Something that, he might be able to take advantage. I don't know if he can do that to what's his face, to Dustin, because Dustin really doesn't throw body kicks, but something he can take advantage of. But especially in his next fight, I feel like he can take advantage of Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon, I like Jared Gordon. I know a lot of people don't like him for some odd reason. I like Jared. Jared's a good guy. He's a good, decent guy. Doesn't seem like a bad person. But Jared, he got stopped. This fight he got stopped, and he got attacked and destroyed. And he got hit with a beautiful overhand, some very reminiscent to how Michael Johnson caught Dustin. And then obviously the uppercut, he was able to land something that Korean Zombie was able to do to Dustin. And he got him out of there. He finished him quick work. It was one of the fights that got him the Kevin Lee fight. And when he fought Kevin Lee, I mean, no crowd, nobody, COVID. I know, I don't want to talk about the Kevin Lee situation. I think I've said I made it. I think I made some statements on Twitter, and I said my piece about it. Kevin's my boy. Y'all know that. I like Kevin a lot. So I don't want to talk about him getting cut, but it is what it is. This was an ESPN main event. Let's not forget that. against Charles Oliveira, but he looked good against Charles. He had moments against Charles, but Charles obviously he was just the better fighter. I was gonna say cerebral. I think that's the word, cerebral fighter in there. He just took advantage of his moments and just executed what he needed to do in there. And Kevin wasn't able to execute. Now, Charles is very... this is why I really do think Charles can out-wrestle Dustin, because he's not scared. That's, I think, the biggest part of out-wrestling somebody is not being scared to shoot. You see a lot of good wrestlers, they're scared to shoot because they're kind of like worried, like, can I really take this guy down in an MMA scenario, in an octagon, in a completely different setting than a wrestling mat? You see it a lot. Like, I don't know. It's so weird. That's why you see so many wrestlers turn into strikers, because they're like, wrestling's hard. I don't want to do this no more. I'd rather strike. But Charles was like, fuck it. I don't care if he's a D2 national runner-up, wrestler. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to take him down. And he went for it. Now, he didn't take him down, but he went for it. Now, if you're telling me he can't do that to Dustin Poirier, then I don't care. But you're ludicrous. You're insane. That's not ludicrous. You're insane. He can do it. His wrestling is very underrated. I feel like a lot of people don't give it enough credit because it's gotten better. And he's taken down really good wrestlers like Will Brooks and stuff like that. Took him down. He took him down. But against Kevin, he wasn't able to really take him down. Now, he had a lot of good moments in there, right? In terms of the striking. Even, I forgot to mention that, the striking. He went in there. He lit Kevin up in the striking. I mean, it was insane how he came in there and just tried to kill him with the crank kick. Like, he don't give a fuck. And that's the thing stylistically about this matchup that you got to really worry for Dustin Poirier is the striking, bro. It's insane. He don't give a fuck. The guy doesn't give a fuck, man. He's insane. It's crazy. But yeah, in the grappling, I mean, Kevin had moments. He had a lot of ground control. He did his thing. He had some takedowns in there. He was able to land some takedowns. Landed 2. And then, Charles had so many beautiful submission attempts, right? It was awesome looking at that before he got the, official submission. But, Kevin had his moments, right, in the grappling. He had a lot of control time. He might have won a round. I think he won a round. It was 1-1 going in third. And then Kevin shoots him for a really, really sloppy single leg and gets submitted via guillotine. And, yeah, it was a wrap. And then when Charles goes up, fights Tony Ferguson, his biggest fight of his career, UFC 256, Figueiredo versus Moreno. Awesome card, by the way. He looked amazing, y'all. Like, I rewatched that fight. It's not necessarily a fun fight to watch, but it's a very, very good performance. And he just executed a really, really good game plan. And Tony Ferguson had no offense in there. He just got completely shut down. He offered nothing. He had, Charles' first takedown he gets him down. Big slams, dude. Nothing like simple takedowns, just very aggressive, assertive takedowns, and asserted himself, in his guard, and was able to go for an armbar. Almost got it in the first round. Almost broke his fucking arm. I think he might have done something to his arm, but yeah, then got 2 more takedowns after that, was able to win the fight. I mean, he He stopped him. He stopped all that Tony. I thought Tony was gonna get it done. I really did. I banked on the fact that Charles was a quitter. I thought Tony could take advantage, and I did not think Tony's wrestling was as bad as it's regressed. I think that's the word, regressed. I thought his wrestling was a lot better, and Charles rose that day. He rose like a phoenix, and proved me wrong. And but like they say, sometimes you need a hitman. You need a man to destroy another coon that has wronged you. And that's the story of this Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler was coming off his devastating victory over Dan Hooker, right? Broke my heart. Another guy will face that fate in Islam Makhachev when Beneil Dariush dispatches of him. But we'll talk about a tale when you don't mess with eBay's favorite fighters, because I ain't gonna stop until you get that L, until we make it 1-1, till we even, and I had to get even with Chandler, and I hit my boy. I was like, hey, I hit up the Hitman agency. They was like, hey, you want the top hitman for the job, you're gonna have to pay. I said, hey, this eBay fight predictions. If you don't know, you better know. My pockets is deep. So I went in there. I was like, hey, I want Charles Oliveira. I need you to, and I told Charles, real story, 100% all facts. The actual factual right here. Told Charles, hey, I need that man done in 2. All right? Less than 2 rounds and we cutting the price. All right? If you can't get him out of there, less than 2 rounds, we cutting the price. Facts, right? So, he went out there, did his thing. I mean, it was a great fight. He went for a takedown against Chandler. Had a phenomenal leg kick, too. Don't forget about that. Landed a great leg kick in there in the beginning of that round. Went for the takedown. Then got his back. Now, Chandler did something crazy with the backpack. Tried to suplex him back. That was really fun. And then, Chandler knocked him down, hurt him bad. I mean, the fight was crazy. I thought it was over for Oliveira. And then Oliveira lands that beautiful left hook and beats Chandler up and wins the belt, man. Wins the fucking belt. And, gets to the point in his career where everyone's like, wow, good fucking shit. Dude Bronx. And now we're here. Since then, we're here. Since UFC 262, I think, and UFC 264. Now we're at UFC 269. It will be Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier for the lightweight championship of the world. Now, let's talk about this stylistically, right? I think Dustin, his main objective, and now I've heard interviews where he's probably said, I don't think Charles is a quitter. His goal in this fight, and I feel like the main way for him to win, right? He has to bring out the quitter, right? He has to. He has to make this grimy. He has to make this dirty. Charles loves his range. He loves to go forward. But we haven't seen Charles go backwards in a very, very long time. So Dustin is going to have to put his meathead suit on and go forward, right? And not give Charles the space he wants to throw those crane kicks, to throw any teep kicks, knees, anything. It's going to have to make him panic shoot, stuff the takedowns, get on top, get a dominant position, ground and pound, elbows on top, or stand up and box him up and just put it on him and make him quit, attack the body. He uses a lot of high guard, so his body's going to be there, and just break him piece by piece. And that's what Dustin should do. I don't think Dustin should wrestle him. I think, if anything, if Dustin ends up on top, I don't think it's worth it, right? You're dealing with a jiu-jitsu guy. But we've seen with Kevin Lee that he's not always a threat every second. He's a threat certain times, but he's not a threat every second. And maybe you can take advantage of that, right? Get on top and land vicious ground and pound, right? Or stuff the takedowns, beat him with the sprawls, right? Break him with the sprawls after going forward and trying to make him, shoot for takedowns, panic shoot him, right? Make him get up and then break him, right, with the boxing. That's something that Dustin's calling card. But I ain't going with Dustin fucking Poirier, all right? Y'all want to know my motivation? I brought up the Hitman Agency. I brought up Dan Hooker, right? This is all going to come full circle. Who is the man, in my humble opinion, that has ruined Dustin Poirier? Nah, did I say Dustin Poirier? Ruined Dan Hooker. I think I already, the cat's out the bag. It's Dustin fucking Poirier that ruined my boy. Alright? This idiot from Louisiana had the, I never forget this, had the audacity, I will have the footage right here, went up to him and said, "Hey, you looking past me, huh?" When my boy can't even breathe, right? He can't even breathe. So now y'all know my motivation. And eventually this punk ass Dustin Poirier will go down. And I think Charles Oliveira will break Dustin Poirier. I think he will not just beat him quick. I think he will have a sensational performance. I think the distance that Charles Oliveira will create will be good enough to save him for the early rounds, and the takedowns that will present himself in the fight will help Charles. I think Charles will end up taking him down and getting the submission, but in the stand-up, I think he will break him down. I think the lead uppercut, the body kicks are there. I don't know if he can really throw them leg kicks like that. Now, obviously, Conor was landing a lot of good calf kicks. Not calf kicks, like leg kicks, basically. But I don't know if Charles can do that to Dustin. But I think the body kicks are there. The teeps to the body will be there. And the spinning heel kick, he has a beautiful spinning heel kick to the body, will be there. His striking will be good. The work and the clinch should be good for him. He has to go forward. Dustin is good going backwards. Don't get it twisted. Dustin can fight going backwards. He's probably as good as going backwards than going forward, right? But I think Charles creating that distance, using those kicks, basically he's gonna I think he's gonna scare Dustin in this fight. I mean, he's not gonna know what to do until the later rounds, and I think when Charles kind of gets him, figures him out, and downloads this man's reads and the way he fights, I think he's gonna take him down, break him, and I think Dustin's gonna do what he did against Khabib Nurmagomedov and quit. I really do. Dustin's last 2 fights were against strikers, right? And Dan Hooker was able to take him down. Dan Hooker is not he's a good grappler. Don't get it twisted, but he's not fucking Renzo Gracie or fucking Dan Gable, right? Like, I remember when Colby Covington said Dustin Poirier made Dan Hooker look like Dan Gable. And if you don't know, Dan Gable is one of the greatest American wrestlers of all time, right? One of my bigger motivations as a wrestler, right? Obviously, you got Frank Edgar, but in terms of in the wrestling world, you gotta go Dan Gable, right? But I mean, if fucking Hooker can take him down, I'm pretty sure Charles can take him down, right? And I think Charles is gonna take him down. He's gonna have some control time, and we're gonna see if Dustin has gotten a lot better since Abu Dhabi, right? We can talk about the heat and we can talk about all that, but he did quit in there, and that's a fact. And I think Charles will submit him in the 4th round. I think it'll be a good fight, but I think it'll be very similar to the Korean Zombie fight. I think Charles is gonna hurt him with an uppercut instead of Dustin shooting for a takedown. If he's gonna back up, I think Charles is gonna pounce on him. I think Dustin's gonna fall, and I think Charles is gonna submit him. Almost like how he did David Tamor. I think that's how it's gonna be. I think that's how the fight's gonna be, and I gotta go with Charles Oliveira via 4th round submission. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. It's your boy eBay. Fight predictions. I gotta go and go to sleep. It's fucking 2:00 in the morning right now doing this breakdown. But yeah, it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Love y'all and goodbye. Don't forget to follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter. If you're new, like, comment, subscribe. Go click the notification button. Let's get this eBay Fight Prediction Nation growing. Love y'all and goodbye.
Ah, meu, ele me mandou mensagem no Instagram. Sim, sim. Aí eu respondi, ele nem acreditou que eu tava respondendo. Falou que é muito fã do Charles, da equipe. Se podia tirar uma foto, que ele morava aqui perto. Aí eu falei pra ele, não, tudo bem. Aí ele falou, não, você vai descer mesmo? Eu falei, vou descer, pô. E agora ele tava até tremendo, mano. Nem acreditou. O pessoal, às vezes os fãs nem acreditam que é ele mesmo que responde todas as mensagens no WhatsApp dele. Ele é sensacional.
Obrigado. Mano, acontece esses bagulho que tipo, é bizarro. Tipo, ó, agora dessa última agora aqui, o cara tá me mandando no Instagram. Fechando ele ia me matar. uma par de bagulho, né? Eu respondi, pô, tá bom, Deus abençoe, que vença melhor, tal, não sei o que, tal. Aí ele mandou uns bagulho lá, tipo, meio que tipo, me xingando e tal. Aí eu falei assim, pô, o que eu te fiz que você tá tão bravo assim comigo, né, tal? Esse coração, aí ele mandou uma foto do Tony. Aí eu falei, pô, irmão, vê só, a gente é lutador, a gente vive do esporte, um ganha, outro perde. A minha estrela brilhou no dia e eu acabei vencendo, graças a Deus. Aí ele, cara, desculpa. Você é um cara da hora, você tá falando comigo há um tempão, eu te xingando e tal, desculpa. Aí eu falei, não, pô, fique em paz, sabe? Você tem que entender que é o seguinte, a luta é assim. Um dia um ganha, outro perde. Deus me abençoou e foi meia-noite e eu venci. Aí, beleza, você tá certo. Aí mandou um monte de coração pra mim, pediu desculpa, perdão e tal.